This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Sabrina Brown. Thank you for joining us. Topping the news tonight, the government has made a decision regarding the future of the Freeport Inn Resort, the former Freeport Inn Resort. The former hotel property in the heart of the city was purchased by the Ingram administration back in 2012 for the expansion of the Rand Memorial Hospital. Since then, the property has fallen into a state of disrepair. The Minister for Grand Bahama held a press conference this afternoon to announce the government's final decision on the property. Natalie Martinborough reports.
The government has determined that it would be too costly to renovate the Freeport Inn Resort, so a decision has been made to demolish 4 of the buildings on the property. A $100,000 contract has been issued to sanitation services to take down the structures. Minister for Grand Bahama Dr. Michael Darville says a complete independent assessment was carried out, and based on the findings, some of the structures are unsound and are in gross violation of the building codes.
We found that there was some issues with the foundation as well as the second and third floors of the structure. So immediately we got an independent assessment from a local engineering firm to assess the integrity, and they clearly indicated that there were signs of creeping. There was also issues with the integrity of the concrete, because the building is 50+ years old. For the government to take valuable, precious resources and to pump into the renovation of a structure where the integrity is in question does not make any sort of proper financial sense.
Dr. Darville says an investigation by the Ministry of Works arrived at the same conclusion, that the 4 3-story buildings are not structurally sound. The remaining 2 buildings on the property will be used by the Public Hospitals Authority.
In collaboration with all of the stakeholders, we will determine how the remaining buildings will be utilized to expand and to improve the quality of service for Grand Bahamians and those living in the Northern Bahamas.
Existing 2 structures that Mr. Brown spoke about will remain, and those structures will be renovated to improve the quality of healthcare services to the Rand Memorial Hospital while we decide and move towards the construction of a new hospital on a new greenfield site.
Minister Darville says based on the assessment, the property is free of asbestos, but he admits that it has become a terrible eyesore on a major highway in Freeport. He is relieved that the dilapidated structures will be taken down.
There are other buildings in Grand Bahama that are in similar state, and now those buildings must be brought into question on the way forward to really clean up the appearance of our city. Now that our tourism product is up and going, we want to make sure that we have a fresh look in the community, particularly in the downtown area. And so I'm excited that finally this is behind us, and the way forward is to create a greenfield site there until the government and the PHA decide what our next move would be with that piece of land.
Demolition will begin on September 15th by sanitation services. The Ministry for Grand Bahama is requesting the support and cooperation of the business community and residents living in the area during the demolition process. Natalie Martinborough, ZNS Network News.
There is concern tonight about the future of a major business in West Grand Bahama. After numerous appeals for a food store to be established in that district, a local businessman answered the call, but it would appear that things are not going as planned. Community leaders fear that its pullout could have a devastating impact on the economy in the West. Shashina Roll reports.
After 1 year of opening its doors in the 8 Mile Walk community, Save-A-Lot food store is now preparing to close its doors. Former Member of Parliament for 8 Mile Walk and community activist Bernie Grant, as well as businessman Eugene Duncanson, say they are saddened by the news, but they say the blame rests on the residents of 8 Mile Walk, who did not patronize their own community food store.
They are planning to leave at the end of the month. And we're hoping that people would come and galvanize and support the supermarket. Okay, there are not a lot of things that they want here, but if you come, you could demand what you want. The supermarket will meet our demands. But if you don't come, then there's no one to patronize it. Then they'll have to leave. Freeport Power doesn't care whether or not you come. They're still going to charge the overhead. but we have to defray the cost by shopping and shopping local because it is here for our convenience.
There are a lot of businesses in 8 Mile Rock, and people prefer to go to Freeport than to buy in 8 Mile Rock because it seemed to be prestigious. For me, if I need something, I would first try 8 Mile Rock, T-Smith, or any other hardware companies. I'd first try 8 Mile Rock. If it's not an 8 Mile Rock, then I would try Freeport.
Duncanson says the only way the 8 Mile Rock community can grow is if the residents support their own.
This supermarket, everybody want to go to Freeport and buy, but they still want to come and get little small things from the supermarket here. The supermarket can't stay open like that. It's a business, and if you have a business you're not making money, then you have to do the next best thing that's best for you. You can't come here just because the people want you here and not make any money.
But the laundromat in the plaza recently reportedly closed due to the low volume of business. They believe one consequence of not supporting community stores is the risk of unemployment.
So you also have a few people out of job, and that's not good. So we in the 8 Mile area need to spend more money in our areas first. And then if it's not here, then we go somewhere else.
Once this leaves, it leaves another gap in the community, plus unemployment for a few persons who are working. So, it's just a domino effect of everything that is happening negative, and we need to start putting more positive things back into the community. We're not asking for the F&M or PLP or any of those other people to come in and help. We have to help ourselves. This is not about politics. This is about helping each other and keeping the area sustained and growing for economic reasons.
Residents in 8 Mile Rock made many public cries for a food store in the area when Winn-Dixie closed. While Save-A-Lot food store is scheduled to close its doors by the end of this month, Grant is making this last appeal.
Stay with us. Stay here in 8 Mile Rock. Talk to us in the community and let us know what it is that we can do to help to keep the supermarket open. And those mums and pops shop, God bless you, you've done a tremendous job. But we just want something of volume that we can work with.
Shashina Roll, ZNS Network News.
ZNS News contacted the owner of Sawyer's and Save-A-Lot food stores, Sandy Sawyer. He declined an on-camera interview, but he did confirm that the store in 8 Mile Rock will close at the end of the month. Sawyer says he invested a significant amount of money in the 8 Mile Rock store, and the closure is a business decision as residents of the area have not supported the store as expected. He says the 8 Mile Rock store is 3 times the size of the Freeport location, yet it can only account for 1/5 of the business. He says when he factors in the price of electricity and other costs, it just doesn't make good business sense to keep the store open. The local businessman says he regrets having to close the store and says at this point he is uncertain as to what will happen to the employees at that location. Now, there has been a steady decline in business at the Harbor West Shopping Center, the complex that houses the Sawyer's Save-A-Lot store. Waugh Construction manages the shopping center. Director Doug Pruden says businesses in that plaza have struggled over the years due to the downturn in the economy.
We've been working with tenants, trying to keep our tenants and working with the rate out there. With the laundromat, it's my understanding from the principals of that company that they just didn't have the volume of business. They tried 24-hour service. They tried busing people in and taking them back home and whatnot. And they had little snack facilities and areas for the kids and whatnot. But they said they just didn't have the volume to make a go of it. And they had to make a hard decision to move.
He admits that low customer volume is an issue, particularly with the Save-A-Lot food store.
Sawyer came out there very courageous. He put a tremendous amount of money in that facility. He totally renovated and designed it especially for the community, price-wise. And the problem there is he just didn't have the traffic going through there. Sandy and I had a little meeting out there yesterday morning at 10:45, 11 o'clock. And we were the only 2 people in there other than the staff. I mean, it's amazing.
Pruden says they are dedicated to the 8 Mile Rock community and are inviting other persons interested in renting a store to contact them so that they can all help to grow that area. But it isn't all bad news coming out of the West. While one food store is closing, another is expanding. Express Food Mart recently opened its doors in the West End community, the fifth in a chain of food stores on the island owned by the Taylor family. Proprietor Shauna Taylor says they saw a need within the West End settlement and they moved to meet the demands.
The people came to Mr. Taylor and, brought it to his attention. He looked into it, and here we are today. There's a lot of elderly people here in West End. They no longer have to take the bus, go into 8 Mile Rock anymore. They no longer have to go into Freeport. Everything is right here.
The West End store employs 6 people from that community, bringing the total staff count at Express Food Mart stores to around 100. Shauna says despite the tough economic times, her family is optimistic about the future of Grand Bahama.
People are talking about the recession, and they're talking about the economical boom that is coming to Grand Bahama. How can you talk about something if you're not putting your best foot forward? We are waiting on that boom, but we're not just sitting down waiting. We are moving, we are doing, we are working, and we're giving people jobs. We are a part of the economical boom. We want to make this economical boom a success. We can't just sit down and wait on the government or a handout. We have to make it happen ourselves.
Careful not to give a dollar amount on this new investment, the businesswoman says it was not easy expanding to the Western District.
The cost to open this location was vast. Having to repair the building, having to, bring in inventory, having to transport, items from Freeport to West End. The ride is a bit, long. But, Mr. Taylor didn't look at stuff like that. He just went in straight forward and did what he had to do.
Stay with us. The Northern Edition is coming right back.